This is the second video where we try to figure out why women are most often overweight, even though they eat less, and why they are usually the largest in the family, unfit. But the fact remains, women actually eat less than their partners. And we were even taught from childhood that a woman should eat little, she should eat like a bird. And women really do just that. Most of them constantly restrict themselves. But there are facts that are very rarely discussed. That for decades, women were taught that sports are not for them. And building muscle, that's not for them either. And as a result, most often they have much less muscle mass than their partners, who have been involved in some kind of sport since childhood, who are active. They spend their leisure time very actively, and most often these are men as well. And a woman, first of all, from childhood was conditioned that physical activity is not for her. Maybe she went to gymnastics, yes, but even then. And during her recreation on holidays or weekends, she is usually sedentary, doing some light activities because it's just hard for her after such a long time. She's already unfit. It's hard for her doing any kind of activities on the weekends. Then as a result, especially with age, she ends up having much less muscle mass. And that's why she eats less and less, but gains more and more fat. Because it's muscle mass that is responsible for your basal metabolism. It's muscle mass that determines how much energy you burn at rest. And if you have little muscle, you can eat very little and still gain weight. And also, let's consider another very important fact: the workload and the role of a woman. Let's add in real life. Most often, a huge amount of responsibility falls on a woman in a family. She not only has to work, but also take care of the children and her partner. Cooking lunch, managing the whole household. And very often, she is the emotional regulator for the entire family. And accordingly, she has almost no time for herself. For the average married woman. But we're not saying that single women don't have such problems. Most often they don't. And physical activity is the last priority for her. She simply doesn't have time for it. And also, what other factor is there that prevents women from staying in shape? The most important factor is that despite having very little time and a lot of work, even more is still expected from her than from her partner. So on top of all this workload, people still expect her to be fit. And most often, it's the woman who carries all the housework, her own job, and the children on her shoulders. She is expected to look much slimmer and fitter than her partner, who has more free time. And why is that? Because she's a woman. She's supposed to be beautiful. The same partner with a little belly and a bit of extra weight, he's considered normal, he's a good man. But if a woman, pardon, has a little extra weight and a small belly, the same as him, they're exactly the same. Usually two partners. But the woman is already considered fat, overweight, while the partner is just a normal guy with a beer belly. So, basically, people expect the impossible from women. She's supposed to carry a huge level of responsibility and have almost no time for herself. Eat little, rest little, and at the same time look as if she has all of that. Time, resources, and none of these things to actually take care of herself. To be honest, it is almost impossible to do this, guys. And now we come to the next stage. When a woman loses movement, recovery, proper sleep, and time for herself, she's left with very few sources. Pleasure, and the most accessible and simple one, is food. Because she's the one cooking in the kitchen, serving dishes to everyone. And the only thing she has left, she spends all day dealing with food, and that's what remains for her. And it's not because she loves to eat, but simply because she has no time for anything else, only for food. And here's the finale. So the problem isn't that women are doing something wrong. The problem is that they are being asked for incompatible things. Women aren't more weak-willed. They're just being asked for more. And until this is acknowledged, the conversation will always be unfair and dishonest. Coming up next will be the third and concluding video of this sequence, where we'll take a much deeper look at yet another common reason: why women most often struggle with gaining unwanted weight.